If you are learning about options, assignment might seem like a very scary topic. In this video, you will learn that it really isn't. I will break down the entire options assignment process step by step and show you when you might get assigned, how to minimize the risk of getting assigned, and what to do if you do get assigned. With that being said, let's jump right into it. First of all, what is assignment? To understand assignment, we must first remember what options allow you to do. A call option gives its buyer the right to buy 100 shares of the underlying asset at the strike price, whereas a put option gives its owner the right to sell 100 shares of the underlying asset at the strike price. In other words, call options allow you to call away shares from someone else, whereas a put option allows you to put shares in someone else's account. Assignment is the selection of the other party of this transaction, so the person that has to buy from or sell to the option buyer that exercised their option. Note that an option buyer has the right to exercise his or her option. It is not an obligation, and therefore a buyer of an option can never get assigned. It's only when you are short an option position that you can get assigned. Let's go through a specific example to clarify this. Stock ABC is trading at $100 and Peter decides to buy one put option with a strike price of 95 as a hedge for his long stock position in ABC. Kate simultaneously sells this option. Over the next few weeks, ABC's price goes down to $90 and Peter decides to exercise his put option. This means that he uses his right to sell 100 shares of ABC for $95 per share. Now Kate is assigned these 100 shares of ABC, which means she is obligated to buy them for $95 per share. Peter now has 100 fewer shares of ABC in his portfolio, whereas Kate has 100 more. This process is analog for a call option, with the only difference being that Kate would be short 100 shares and Peter would have 100 additional shares of ABC in his account. You now hopefully know what assignment is, but who actually gets assigned? To answer this question, we must first ask ourselves who exercises their options. There are three different possibilities to close a long option position. The first would be to simply sell the option. This has no consequences for the option seller. The next alternative would be to let the option expire. If it's out of the money, it will expire worthless, and there would be again no consequences for the option seller. If, however, the option is in the money by more than $0.01, it would usually be automatically exercised. The last possibility would be to exercise the option early. This is only possible for American-style options. So as an option seller, you only have to worry about the last two possibilities in which the buyer's option is exercised. Just to calm your fears, here's a quick fact about the distribution of these three alternatives. Less than 10% of all options are exercised, so 90% of options are either sold prior to the expiration date or expire worthless. This means that assignment risk isn't exactly large. It is very easy to avoid the first case of getting assigned. Just close your short option positions before they expire. For the second case, however, things aren't as straightforward. Let's recap who risks being assigned early. Firstly, you have to be trading American-style options. European-style options can only be exercised on their expiration date. But most equity options are American style anyway. Secondly, you need to be selling options. Option buyers can't get assigned. These two are necessary conditions for you to get assigned. Everyone who fulfills both of these conditions risks getting assigned early. The size of this risk, however, varies depending on your position. Here are a few things that can dramatically increase your assignment risk. If your option is in the money, the chance of getting assigned is much higher than if it's not. From the standpoint of an option buyer, it does not make sense to exercise an option that's not in the money, because this would lead to a loss. Nevertheless, it is still possible. The deeper in the money the option is, the higher the assignment risk becomes. Besides that, selling options on securities with upcoming dividends also increases your risk of assignment. More specifically, if the intrinsic value of an in-the-money call option is less than the amount of the dividend, options buyers can achieve a profit by exercising their option before the ex-dividend date. Otherwise, keep an eye on the extrinsic value of your option. If the option has extrinsic value left, it doesn't make sense for the option buyer to exercise their option because they would achieve a higher profit if they just sold the option and then bought or sold shares of the underlying asset. The less time an option has left, the lower its extrinsic value becomes. Last but not least, put options tend to get exercised more often than call options. But this shouldn't affect your trading. So, how can you minimize assignment risk? First, don't sell options on securities with upcoming dividend payments. Second, close your option positions early. The closer you get to expiration, the less time value your option has left, and especially for deep in the money options, it's good practice to close your position before expiration week to avoid assignment. If you don't want to close your position, you could also just roll it out to a later expiration cycle to increase the extrinsic value of the option. Otherwise, there really isn't that much you can do. Before we move on to the conclusion, I want to answer some frequently asked questions about option exercise and assignment. First, what is if your account does not have enough buying power for the assigned shares? This is a common worry for beginning options traders, but don't worry. If you don't have enough capital to cover the new position, you will receive a margin call and usually your broker will just automatically close the assigned shares immediately. This might lead to a minor assignment fee, but otherwise it won't significantly affect your account. Tastyworks, for instance, charges an assignment fee of only $5. Check out my review of Tastyworks in the description box below. 2. How does assignment affect your P&L? This is another thing many beginning options traders worry about. When an option is exercised, the option holder gains the difference between the strike price and the price of the underlying asset. If the option is in the money, this is exactly the intrinsic value of the option. This means that the option holder loses the extrinsic value when he exercises his or her option. That's also why it doesn't make sense to exercise options with a lot of extrinsic value left. This means that as soon as the option is exercised, it's only the intrinsic value that's relevant. This is the same P&L as the option has at its expiration date. So as an option seller, your P&L isn't negatively affected from an assignment. Either it stays the same or it becomes slightly better due to the extrinsic value being ignored. For instance, if your option is $1 in the money, you will lose up to $100 per option or $1 per share that you get assigned. But this would be the P&L of the option at expiration anyway. Depending on how much premium you collected when selling the option, this might still be a profit or a minor loss. With that being said, as soon as you get assigned the shares of the underlying security, you will have some carrying risk. If you don't or can't close the position immediately, you will be exposed to the ongoing price fluctuations of that security. Sometimes, you might not be able to close the new position immediately because of trading halts or because the market is closed. If you weren't planning on holding the security, it's a good idea to close the new position as soon as possible. Option spreads, such as vertical spreads, add protection to these price fluctuations, since you can just exercise the non-assigned long option to close the assigned share position at the strike price of the long option. 3. When an option holder exercises their option, how is the assignment partner chosen? This is usually a random process. First, the exchange randomly chooses a firm that has accounts that have an open short position in that option. Then the firm chooses which of these accounts gets assigned. This choice is typically either random or the account that first sold the option is chosen. 4. Last but not least, how does assignment work for index options? As there aren't any shares of indexes, you can't directly be assigned any shares of the underlying asset. Therefore, index options are cash settled. This means that instead of having to buy or sell shares of the underlying, you simply have to pay the difference between the strike price and the underlying trading price. This makes index option assignment a lot less worrisome. Now, let us move on to the conclusion. Hopefully this video shows you that assignment isn't as bad as it seems at first. It's just important to understand how the options assignment process works and what affects the likelihood of getting assigned. To recap, here's what you should do when you are assigned. If you have enough capital in your account to cover the position, you could either treat the new position as a normal stock position and hold on to it, or you could just close it immediately. If you don't have a clear plan for the new position, I recommend the latter. If you don't have enough buying power, you will receive a margin call from your broker and the position should be closed automatically. Getting assigned does not have any direct significant impact on your P&L, but it comes with some carrying risk. Option spreads can offer more protection against this than naked option positions. To mitigate assignment risk, you should close option positions early, always keep an eye on the extrinsic value of your option positions, and avoid upcoming dividend securities. And always remember, less than 10% of options are exercised, so assignment really doesn't happen that often. Especially not if you're actively trying to avoid it. For the specifics of how assignment is handled, it's a good idea to contact your broker as the procedures can vary from broker to broker. With that being said, I want to thank you for watching this video and I really hope it clarified the topic of assignment. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Thank you.